everyone rise. Before we start the meeting, I'd like to ask Reverend Marvin Davis to say a prayer for us, and I'll lead us in the pledge.
Let us just meditate this for a second or two. Most heavenly, most gracious God, we just want to say thank you for all that you have done for us individually, as well as a nation, as well as a county, as well as a city. And we just invite you into this meeting today to discuss you and your people business. We ask you for guidance. We ask you for knowledge. We ask you for understanding as we go and talk about the business of this city. Touch the leaders, touch the mayor, commissions as we move forward. We pray this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. And we pray for those that are suffering from this virus. Touch their body, heal them, and our leaders. Amen.
This flag, I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will call the regular meeting of Tuesday, August 4th, City Commission to order. And welcome everybody here and those on Zoom. It's Commissioner Ashbrook and Commissioner Lowry present on Zoom.
I'm here, Mayor. Commissioner Ashbrook.
Commissioner Lowry. Okay, so we have 4 commissioners present today. And the first item of business is the consent agenda, which is minutes of our July 21st meeting. Have a chance to look over those. If so, I'll entertain a motion to have them approved. Motion by Commissioner Hoffman, second by Commissioner Langston. Discussion. Commissioner Ashbrook, do you have any comments or additions or corrections?
No, sir. Everything looks good.
Okay, all in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 4-0. All right, Mr. City Attorney.
I don't have anything specific, Mayor, today, but talk about some other things.
Right. I think all of you have in front of you a emergency order ordinance that I asked the attorney to draft for us, just to go over and look at. I don't anticipate any motion to pass an ordinance which would mandate facial coverings and so forth, but I would like everyone to look over it closely and add comments to it, and hopefully we don't have to revisit it. Hopefully everybody will start doing the responsible thing in our city. So let's move on to old business. Jim?
Yes, sir, Mayor. The next item is the Census 2020. We're still reminding people to get out there and be accounted for. They are doing training in Port St. Joe and plan to go door to door in the near future. So please get out there and be accounted for the census.
Okay, and of course, COVID-19 update is that we still have the emergency declaration in place for everybody out in public, those that are here and those that are on Zoom. Please ask your friends and neighbors to wear a mask when they're in the public. They can't stay 6 or 7 feet apart. If you're at a friend's house just for dinner or visiting, go ahead and wear your mask and set a good example for everybody. So we can slow this thing down a little bit. What long ago we had 77, I think a month ago, and we're closing in on 400. And so I do know that Sarah Hines and her text every day, she removes any prisoners that test positive from her daily total. So you may notice that. I noticed that, I think day before yesterday we had 38 new cases, but 20 of those were prisoners. So maybe we're doing a little better. I think we still got 15%. She'd like to get it down 10% or below, which we all would. So please be a good example for everyone. comments on that, ordinance? I know we had 2 deaths since our last meeting.
I just like to say that, I wish that business owners, would step up and do what they're supposed to do and just try to make the people that's coming in the stores wear masks. You know, in the 10 minutes. That's the only thing that really upset me when you go in there and, you know, the business owners are not being responsible, doing what they're supposed to do. I wish there was some way that that we could do something to force their hand, but I don't think there is right now. So I just want to let say business owners, please help us out with this situation.
Absolutely. Mr. Hoffman, any comment?
The only thing I was going to bring up is I feel like the position that I hold and that we hold is to safeguard the public based on information that is available to us. And I did a little research in the last couple of days to figure out, well, are we doing what the people who voted us into these seats are asking us to do? And the decisions that we are making, are they backed up with science? And just with thinking about it, it's real clear that we have guidance from President of the United States, came out last week and finally said, you need to wear a mask when you can't social distance. The CDC has told us that. The governor of the state of Florida has told us that. The Florida Department of Education, I was reading on their website this morning, they're asking to use the mask when you can't social distance. Our local schools have come out with reopening plans that say we encourage the use of masks when you can't social distance. It won't always work perfect in a school setting, I get that. But in general, they're supporting the idea of using a mask. The Gulf County Health Department, Florida Health Department, and now the city of St. Joe is making decisions based on the knowledge of those different groups. And then I talked to Jim about a post that, and you already know I'm not a big fan of Facebook propaganda, but sometimes you can use social media to get an idea of what people are saying, what they like and don't like. The announcement that we put on our site yielded 152 either thumbs up, thumb down, smiley face, or frowny face. Pretty easy to figure out where those 152 people stood. Well, I went through and looked at it. 84% of the people were positive in support of the direction that the city went with. 84%. And I know that's not scientific, but it means something. Then I looked at the comments. I took out the comments that were just like tagging other people, or they weren't, I wasn't real sure what they were saying. It was easy, the ones that said, I'm not wearing a mask, hated, okay? I clicked you as a no. And then the ones that said, thank you for keeping us safe, I counted you as a yes. And I did the math on that, 80% positive in support. So to have a business or businesses that say, I don't agree with the mask, and I'm not gonna, support the city's direction, it is alarming and surprising to me. If you believe the numbers in the 80s, that's 80% of the people that shop in your store are asking you to support the city's direction. But, we can't force them to do it at this point. All we can do is encourage them to do it. So I still support the mask mandate.
Mr. Ashbrook, any comments?
I don't think there's anything else to be said, Mayor, but I will offer a suggestion. I've always been, an advocate of the masks. I try to wear it everywhere that I can, but I found that they would always be left sitting in my truck seat, and I'd have to run back to the truck when I see other people with their masks on. To alleviate that problem, I just came up with a simple solution. I took my sunglasses off of their clips, and I just hooked my mask around my neck. It always is with me now, and I've never forgotten it since, so there's no excuse for me to not have a mask on. It's good advice for someone that's just not used to it. It's always with you, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, anybody? like to speak on that? All right, let's move on to new business, Jim.
Yes, sir. First item is the CDBG grant bid results. We had a brief discussion our last meeting on the bid results. We are prepared today to recommend approval pending contingent upon DEO approval as well. What we have for you, if you turn over to page 5. We have a staff recommendation to award the bid to Gulf Coast Underground LLC contingent upon DEO approval today for consideration.
Okay. Everybody has a good letter from our engineers that feel very confident with the low bidder, even though he's $200,000 cheaper than the other two, $250 on one. But he feels very comfortable, their experience, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the low bidder.
So moved.
There's a motion to approve Gulf Coast Underground, $448,925.76. There's a second. Second by Commissioner Langston. Discussion. Anything, anybody? John, you got anything on that? Mr. Ashbrook?
I'm good, sir.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Same sign, motion passed 4-0. So we can get to work on that and hopefully see some work soon.
The next item is actually for the engineer to review the work and to oversee the project on there. Same thing, staff recommendation to approve the task order pending approval from DEO. And we have also put in a request letter to utilize some of the money that was left over to cover some of these costs. We don't know for sure. At this point, the city is on the hook to purchase it, to pay for this, but we are trying to see if we can get some of it covered.
Task order is for design bidding and other services from Dewberry, $25,000. That is, about 5.5% of the total work. I think that's reasonable. There's a motion to approve the 25,000 task from Dewberry.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Langston. I hear a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hall. Mr. Ashbrook, any comments?
I have a comment. We need to get this done. We've been looking for sewer rehab for years, and we finally have the opportunity to do it. Let's pull the trigger.
Yep, we're ready. All righty. Anyone else? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Same sign, motion passed 4-0.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, Public Works, Mr. Grantham's got a big list.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item we have is the canopy quotes. I believe the last meeting, Commissioner Langston requested the warranty period. I believe you have a copy of that in your packet. So it is a 10-year warranty. Last 4 years are prorated. However, if you notice, there is a section as far as fading. We're within 10 miles of the coast. They will not warranty the fading aspect. So, we are planning to remove that structure during the winter months. Take the canopy off to prolong its life. The manufacturer recommends clean it twice a year anyway, so that would be the pre and post cleaning.
White or an off-white color, so it won't really
The
matter.
color's up to the board. I did reach out to the company, and should we need a new canopy in the future, they run about $2,500. So your plain powder coated steel should last for a long time. But I did want you to know the canopy costs.
All righty, that's fairly cheap for a quick fix for shade for the cemetery. Okay, there a motion?
So move up.
Okay, Mr. Langston made a motion to accept Bliss Products for a shade canopy for Forest Park Cemetery. Holly Hill. Forest Hill. They're not forest. I'm sorry. But anyway, that's the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Ashbrook. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion passed 4-0. And did he give ship it ASAP type thing or what?
I'll have to look back on the original code. I think it was 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
2 to 3, somewhere in that time frame.
Maybe we'll have all our folks back and we get it installed. Okay. All right.
All right, next item is RFP 2020-07, Palm Boulevard pedestrian bridge. We bid these bridges out several weeks ago. We accepted it open. Today we're here for recommendations. Staff recommends that the low bid for 2020-07 be awarded to Ravens Marine. Ravens was actually low on all the bids. So, it would be our thoughts to issue all of these RFPs to Ravens Marine. Wants to proceed forward.
I asked John earlier today to reach out to them and get an idea of the time frame of when we could expect delivery, and he said 6 to 8 weeks. So I thought that was fairly reasonable, and that's if on any of them. But if we award them others, all of them at one time. Okay. So
I'm sorry,
we need a motion on each one, Jim.
Yes, sir, they were bid out separately.
Okay, all righty. Need a motion to approve the low bidder of Ravens Marine, even though your sheet says otherwise. The Gator Bridge is, they just bid on that, because they bid on a bridge that was 10 feet too short.
Did they do the one bridge that we already purchased?
Actually, Liberty did that bridge. Yeah. 16. All of these manufacturers are comparable. They do the same product.
Okay, so need a motion to award the low bid for the Palm Boulevard pedestrian bridge, which would be a wide bridge, would accommodate walkers and golf carts.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Ashbrook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Langston. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign, motion passed 4-0.
The next item is RFP 2020-08, the Long Avenue pedestrian bridge. This is the smaller of the 4 bridges we bid. Crosses the canal right there off of Long Avenue. A lot of school children use this. And if you noticed, the wing walls are slowly collapsing. It's got some structural issues. So we did bid this out for bridge replacement as well during this process.
All right, is there a motion to approve low bidder on this one, which is also Ravens Marine? Motion by Commissioner Hoffman. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Langston. Ravens Marine 22,895 for Long Avenue pedestrian bridge. Any discussion? Anybody online? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 4-0.
Next item there is RFP 2020-09. This is the Buck Griffin Lake, what we call the mid bridge. This is island to island, if you will. Once again, Ravens Marine was low bidder. It's 4-year.
I got discussion on that. Do we really need it? That was my question. Was just there for the Forest Park, walking past folks to walk over there if they want.
But overall, it was part of the original route.
Right.
Design, when Buck Griffin Lake was built. So, again, strictly the board's option. If you didn't put it back, you have a bridge at 16th Street Park, no timber bridge, but you have no path to get there. So, again, this is up to the board's decision.
My feelings is, if you're going to approve the next bridge on 20th Street, then I would suggest we approve the middle bridge. If we're not going to approve the 20th Street bridge,
I would not recommend.
then the middle one.
Me personally, for the next item, I would not recommend going forward.
Staff recommendation from John is not do 20th, and that was, I'm leaning that way myself.
And the reason we have a bridge directly across 20th, so, with pedestrian crossing. crosswalk. So we have a crosswalk, and you just make that loop across 20, if you want to make that.
See, I wanted all the bridges, but I would negotiate the 20th Street Bridge. I would rather lose that one, and I would support maybe putting that one off till next year. If you'll give me the middle one. That's my I just
Commissioner.
feel like if we don't do it now, we're probably gonna lose sight of it. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, visually, it looks great. I know the other one looks really good, and, certainly lets the public know we are trying to improve what was damaged after the storm, moving forward. So, I like those visual improvements. So I don't have a problem with mid-bridge and putting Long Avenue off. Personally, I like to see Long Avenue. I mean, the 20th Street Bridge, take a hard look at it down the road, but I think we do have.
Well, it also, Mr. Mayor, on the 20th Street, there's some other ideas that you might not need the bridge if we come up with the walking trail up to the easement of the road and put a sidewalk in there, like we have sidewalks all over town. And you just stay away from the water side. It's not really a bridge, it's just part of the walking path.
We looked at that, and the real estate is pretty small, based off as a pavement that has a guardrail system. Someone can, it should be guardrail there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it does get kind of skinny from where the head wall drops off to the edge of pavement. So,
Yeah.
not saying it's not doable, but it's certainly not.
Yeah, I like.
We don't have an option between the island. It's either a bridge or you're not going to cross there.
And my recommendation would be to install the mid-bridge.
All right. Mr. Langston, any comment?
When I pass by, I like the way it looks, and maybe some people want to just cross over to the island sometime and just check out the scenery, and to let people know that we are focused on moving forward and doing something to look at. It's beautiful the way it's set up.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to award the bridge for Buck Griffin Lake to Ravens Marine.
So moved.
Mr. Hoffman made the motion. Is there a second? And second by Mr. Langston. Mr. Ashbrook, any comments?
I think I'll have to go with Commissioner Hoffman on this one. I like the idea of this bridge, and if I have to give one up, I'd give up 20th Street. There's other opportunities there.
Okay. All righty. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Same sign, motion passed 4-0, so we got 3 bridges coming.
Mayor, the last item will be RFP 2020-10, it's the 20th Street Bridge. And again, we can discuss it earlier, my recommendation would be to hold off based on other options.
I think the board is totally agreeing with you from what I've heard.
So your motion to
Don't
table that, and
don't really think need anything, do we, Jim?
You elect not to do anything, you don't have to do anything.
So, any other reports? For this,
The other thing I did want to discuss while we're talking bridges is that I did reach out to a contractor to discuss the foundations and abutments. We built the one for 16th Street Bridge. Had a very fair price from a local contractor to build both abutments at each bridge site, roughly around $3,000. My recommendation would be to let him do that. So when all 3 bridges are built, all 6 foundation pads will be complete. We just set the bridges at one time, one day.
3,000 per bridge.
Per bridge.
Sounds pretty reasonable. They can do all the work.
We had that much, if not more than what we did on 16th.
Yeah, y'all spent a lot of time there.
And there was a lot of earthwork, no question, so it's a little different, but it's a very fair price.
Okay, Jim, your bid threshold 10,000.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, so 3 bridges at 3.
It would be individual projects.
Yeah, even though we did all 3, that's still 9. So we could turn them loose to do all of them if we wanted to. That's long-term pricing, you've got with them quite a bit, but they do a lot of work for us. Somebody wants to make a motion, we'll let John work with those guys, and they can have everything ready. Bridges come, we can put them in.
Motion to approve.
Okay. There's a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ashbrook. Everybody understand what John's talking about? Mr. Ashbrook, I guess you do, you second the motion, but
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
get something. Okay, all in favor, aye? Opposed, same sign, motion passed 4-0. We turn Jason White loose on
I don't have anything else, man.
how's your staffing levels? I understand you've had some out with the virus.
We've been hit hard the last 2 weeks. You know, we've actually lost all our inmates altogether in about 4 weeks. We don't work anything that much. I mean, it's just more coming from DOC. We're down only 2 employees currently. So our staffing levels have increased drastically.
Only thing I can say is keep hammering away, and they better wear masks. They're riding in a truck together, and anywhere if it's not more than 6 feet apart.
All that has been instructed and passed on.
And that's for all our city employees that downtown and water, sewer, everybody. We need them. They know they're essential.
We can't afford them to do it.
Any questions for Don, anybody? Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, surface water plant, Larry with us.
Yes, sir, Mayor, I'm here.
All right.
Mayor, the only update I'll have for y'all is work is continuing on the 10th Street water tank. Utility service company has said that they plan on trying to be out of here by next Wednesday, but they are still working on that project. And that project, just so you know, is covered by our maintenance agreement, so there's nothing out of pocket for this.
Right.
Yeah. And that's really all I have for now.
Your staff levels okay?
Yes, sir, they are. Everybody's healthy so far.
All right. Deal. All right, thank you, Larry. Wastewater, Kevin, sick. I don't know if he's online or.
Yes, sir. I don't think he's online today. He's under the weather. Basically, this month, they are not going to be spraying sending the food to the wastewater spray fields. It's going to be maintenance this month. He said he has about 4 foot of room in the actual pond at this point.
Anybody got any questions, concerns with wastewater? All right, Mr. Mike, you've got a few line items on here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, a quick FEMA update. Most of the projects are still in FEMA's court. Buck Griffin Lake has not been finalized as one project. We're still working that. The $418,000 we've had some positive movement. They've approved the payroll and salary side of it, and now they're reviewing the equipment side of it. And I've submitted additional information to them. I'm hopeful that we can push that through and get that reimbursement of money already expended here in the next 30 to 60 days before the end of the fiscal year. So, as well. So we're still moving along with FEMA. Budget update. I met with Bill and we reviewed the DRA budget that he had put together, and I found some holes in the general fund where I had miscategorized it. I had entered $480,000 instead of $408,000, so that was a snafu. And then I also had included the reimbursements for the loan that we had from the DRA. In fact, we've already received those funds and being reimbursed. So in pulling those things out and adding some of his expenses, like additional landscaping, his accounting and so forth, into the general fund budget, we now have a deficit in the general fund of $193K. And then I also updated our projects list to include all the projects that he had in his DRA budget. And I'll give you a copy of this as well. The good news office is this year is the first time in 12 years in the general fund, we have flexibility. We have the insurance money and the FEMA money that we've escrowed that gives us the flexibility to cover any shortfalls that we have in our budget. And so we'll discuss those issues in more detail on Thursday.
Yes, definitely. We have the workshop at 12 noon on Thursday, which hopefully hash all that out and get the same.
But I just wanted to give you a copy of this updated projects list so that you have a better idea of the projects that we've discussed that include the DRA projects in the But no change in the enterprise funds. We're still balanced and everything looks fine on that. I will go through all of those again before the meeting on Thursday. Any questions on FEMA or the budget?
Have a lot on Thursday for you.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be a long one. We did start including the boat launch revenue on page 22. Certainly this time of year is where we receive the bulk of our boat launch revenue. You can see June was a little over $5,000 and July was a hair under 5,000. Most of that being daily launch tickets. Most of that revenue being daily launch.
I see you sprinkled a few of the out-of-county yearly decals in there.
We sold 18 of those over the 2-month period. That's correct.
Yeah, we just got to get the word out between now and October about
We've gotten on the boat launch. I've gotten drafts of signage that I'll present to you at the next meeting. I haven't gotten cost estimates yet on new signage for the boat launch. I've gotten 2 quotes on possible change to the vending machine, putting an electronic or solar powered machine. I've got 2 quotes. I need to get 1 more before I can present that to you so we can start discussing the boat ramp again and new signage and trying to possibly increase our collections at the ramp with a different piece of equipment down. So I'm still working that. Unfortunately, I haven't got that ready for you, but it is in the works on the boat launch. And then one item not on the budget is the Stack House. So the Stack House closed last Friday. We averaged about 30 kids throughout the course of the opening, most of them in the morning. It was slower in the afternoon. And the kids were receptive to that last week of wearing masks. Dee and Jewel did a great job of educating the kids and helping them understand that, and hopefully those kids will be more ready for school when it starts. Encouraged to wear masks.
good teaching moment.
It was. That's all I had, unless anyone had any questions.
Questions for Mike? Anyone here? Dave?
Save them for Thursday.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. All right. Mr. Engineer, Mr. Baxley's online, I believe. Josh, you there? Josh Baxley? Jim, you want to
Yes, sir.
fill us in on what you
First time the.
Hey, I'm here. Can everybody hear me?
You there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Let me run through some updates real quick. First on the list is the NERDA grants. We had a conference call with the district, with the Water Management District and DEP yesterday, and that was to discuss the comments that we submitted a few weeks back based on some responses that they sent us. We had a good conversation, but they did request additional information on the options. The expectation is over the next 30 to 45 days, we would compile that additional information and have a follow-up call. Once the call is complete, they wanted to schedule the next public meeting, and, you know, based on their direction right now, that will probably be a Zoom type meeting, as they don't expect, you know, to be making any site visits anytime soon. The stormwater master plan, we're still inventorying the cities, all of their stormwater, the ditches, the culverts, working on an actual master plan drawing. We hope to be finished with cataloging in the next couple of weeks and moving toward the master plan drawing, and then after the master plan will be, the final part will be the recommendations for improvements. The walking path, the Port City Trail, the advertisement is sent into the county. We're just waiting on the advertisement to actually hit the paper. The plans, I'd sent them to John and Jim, and they had a few comments. We'd made the revisions. So we're wrapping up the bid package and waiting on the advertisement to come out and collect some bids. CDBG sewer improvements, I think we already covered that in a previous agenda item. The Long Avenue, I think we're basically the same update as the last time, that we've got the final submittal in and we're waiting to hear if we meet that August hearing. Downtown sewer improvements, I think it's Commercial District Water Sewer Grant application. The proposal is into Churchwell. John and I have a meeting on Thursday to finalize a scope, and we expect to have Churchwell kicked off sometime next week on the video of Camry. Garrison Avenue Phase 2, it's not on the list, but wanted to give you guys an update that we do have a pre-construction meeting scheduled with a contractor with DOT. The 12th, which is next week, next Wednesday at 10:30. So once that's over, we should be able to kick that project off. And lastly is the Frank Pate Park gazebo and picnic area. The notice of award and agreement are with the contractor. We should get the signed agreement back this week along with his bonds and insurance. Once that's done, we've already had an on-site meeting, but we'll schedule just a quick pre-construction meeting and have those guys kicked off on that as well. And I think that's everything I've got on my list.
I talked to Josh this morning about the piping the ditch that runs parallel to Minnesota Drive at George Court Park, as well as the one that I think they run themselves pretty much, had permits and so forth to do the one that runs right by the TDC building that runs toward the bay. And I asked him to find out with the county, they plan to help us out on that. I think said he had a meeting tomorrow. Is that correct, Josh?
That's correct. I got a meeting tomorrow morning at 8, and I'll address it with them then.
Okay, good. Which, and then part of that walking path, I may have missed it, but that includes a path that goes along the bay at George Court Park. So hopefully we'll get that place, start putting it back together. Okay, any questions? Anybody got any questions for Josh? Okay, Marvin Davis, stay right there, Marvin, I can hear you.
Just want to know, is there any update on the infrastructure around MLK? Remember a while back we were talking about the infrastructure on MLK?
To my knowledge, no. The only thing that we discussed, I think at that time, was when we got the overlay district from Mr. Greer. I think he was going to discuss that because we've already got a new line that we put in the last 5 years already there. So what addition we'll need, I don't know. But I think we're waiting on Ray Greer and his report. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I did have a meeting with Mr. Greer first of last week. He has gave me a draft on there. So yes, sir. He is looking to go back and tweak a few things on there. So within the next month or two, I would imagine that will be coming before the board. That way you can take a look at it, finalize your overlay for your district on there. What it'll have is it'll basically be an amendment to your land development regulations that will help with development guideline for development on the MLK corridor.
All right. Anybody got any questions? Mr. Ashbrook, you have any questions for Josh?
No, sir. I'm good.
All righty. We'll move on to code enforcement. Any reports on our bid process?
Yes, sir. They're out to bid for the violations that have not been corrected. So those have been put on the city website. We even put them on Facebook too and in the newspaper, trying to get interest from people that will help us to abate those issues. So those are out to bid there. Also, there's been 2 hearings that have been scheduled, and it looks like one of those has been taken care of before the hearing date. So thank you to the property owner on that for taking care of that issue ahead of time. So we always appreciate that.
That's what we've been hoping for. Anybody from code enforcement? All right, police department, I have Lieutenant Richards here today, with a line item for the office furniture for the new police station. It's moving along quite well. I think on page 23, 25, you see the list and the request and the state contract, in the amount of $23,904.54. Lieutenant Richard, you want to come forward and present that?
Yes, sir. This will be for all furniture for the police department, desks, chairs, guest chairs, some bookshelves for shelving. And, that's pretty much just still from the mayor, soup and nuts.
Yeah.
Furniture. It's
I'm
all state contract.
pleasantly surprised at the price, to be perfectly honest.
We were too.
And that's delivery and installation.
Yes, sir.
From what I'm reading, so that's exciting at least. Any comments on that item? We do not have to go out to bid because it's on the state contract. So, Mr. Ashbrook, you got any?
That's a great price for that amount of furniture. I'd jump on it.
Yep. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Ashbrook made the motion to approve the office furniture for the police station. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Langston. Any discussion? Discussion from Zoom? Nope. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passed 4-0. We can get
Thank
on.
you, sir.
Anything else from the police department? Judge?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. Any questions for him? Nope. All right, thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Pierce, anything?
Nothing other, we're working on the grants that we've got out and moving forward on those.
Oh, anything, from the National Park Service on the Centennial Building and that thing?
Sir, I am working on that daily
All right,
from 8 to 5, as well as the lighthouse.
Wonderful.
We have to have it in by the end of the month. We have received some letters of support and trying to get it all pulled together in the next few days for review.
Thank you for that work.
Yes, sir.
State seems to find a reason to, kill our historic grant every year, so, let's just see if we can up it and see if we can get something out of it.
It would
Was
be,
it the same amount as?
no, sir, we're going for the full amount of the 500,000.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. On the Centennial Building.
Yes,
Lighthouse, we haven't determined the exact amount yet, but we're working on that.
and would that be to display the lens and that type of thing?
This would be more for repairs and hardening towards future hurricanes. We do have some options on display in the museum. Florida Lighthouse has been very generous in helping. The city has insurance and FEMA, as well as a contribution towards the HVAC from Psj. We have a number of pots we're working with.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Sharp, anybody? Okay. Citizens be heard. I see a couple of citizens out there. One's a citizen of Bay County. Jason Purnell with PCC is here. I guess do you like to address the board for anything, Jason, or you don't have to, but I'm just.
Mayor, we have been, go ahead. Basically, we have been working on the city transfer station. It has been cleaned up tremendously. Thank you to Jason over there because it was left in ill repair before. So the 3-acre parcel has been cleaned up tremendously. We have been working with DEP. We have our permit in place for DEP for transfer station. I guess it was 2 or 3 meetings ago. The board did approve to entertain a lease agreement with Mr. Janelle from BCC for $2,000 a month. I think he's here today to talk to you a little bit about that, some different ideas he has. So I'll turn it over to Jason to briefly talk to you about his thoughts on
Up here.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you're 6 feet from us, I think.
Thank you guys for having us. Yeah, we've spent the last week and a half or so cleaning that place up to the tune of over $9,000. I don't know what the total disposal bill was, but it's night and day different. And really, I reached out to Waste Pro, not sure what kind of response I was going to get, but I asked them for their help to get anything out of there that they wanted to keep, and then we would haul everything else off. And man, they sent a team out there, and they did an amazing job cleaning up, and it helped us out tremendously getting any of their things out of there. But one of the things I would ask that you guys consider is that originally when we got the contract, the $2,000 was going to include the whole property, including the building to operate from and everything. But since we're not going to have that portion that has the building on it, I would ask for a reduction in that $2,000. I don't know what to the tune of the number would be, but I know I got a quote yesterday to erect a pole barn for us to operate under, and it was somewhere around 15 grand for a 40 by 48. So we are going to continue to make capital improvements on that property so we can operate from there. I don't know what the future holds with regard to transfer station. I don't really want to discuss that right now because, you know, it's just too much controversy over that. But our goal is to use that to operate from so that we can better serve the citizens. I mean, it's, again, if you hadn't had the opportunity to go out there and look at it, I think Jim's seen it, John's seen it before we started cleaning it up. And it's going to be a real nice place to operate from.
Questions for Jason?
I want to make sure I'm clear in my mind. I know there's two pieces out there, fence between. You're on the road looking at it. Property to the right has the building, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the property to the left has that big hill. The part that we own that's not being disputed is the part with the hill.
Correct.
Okay. I want to make sure. And that's the side where you want to put the pole barn. And Jim, is it correct? Do we agree with Jason's statement that initially we were going to lease it to BCC for $2 grand for both sides of the fence?
Yes, sir. And for years, it was, that property was all
Right.
contiguous on there, but we don't have ownership of that, so yes, sir. You have the ability to negotiate a price. We do have a motion that we did have approved for $2 grand, so we need to amend that. Yes, sir, the board does have that discretion.
I think that's a fair request.
Yeah, I agree. But Jason, tell us what your plans are, short-term and long-term, for our property.
Short term, we're going to get our entire operation moved from the county's transfer station over to the city property. And we jumped the gun and started cleaning because we only have 45 days. Well, we had about less than 20 days ago, between 15 and 20 days ago, we had 45 days to get off their property. So we jumped on it, knowing that anticipating we'd be able to come to an agreement with you guys. So, but we're going to move the whole operation over there. It'll be, all the drivers. We hope since there's not a permanent structure there, I have a 20-foot Connex that's air conditioned and all that sort of stuff. And my hope is to set that Connex up so that we can make sure that we maintain a local presence with regard to answering the phones. Because we want to have somebody.
Trailer office type thing,
Yes, sir.
construction trailer, whatever.
Yes, sir. And our mechanic, he's been operating in a gravel parking lot with no cover and just pretty archaic the way he's been operating. So there used to be, once we cleaned all that up, there's a huge slab that runs that whole back side of that property all along that fence. It looked as though there used to be a maintenance shop or something there. So we want to put that pole barn on top of that slab, allowing the mechanic to continue to maintain the trucks. So that's our plan.
Right. So Jim, we're permitted and everything for him to use that site for up to what, or what are the restrictions right now?
Once we make a decision as to what the physical use is going to be on the property under, we will have to go back to DEP for a plan. But at this point in time, to utilize that for the for the maintenance shop and to work on those kind of things on there. He's good. We'll work with him and DEP to make sure that everything is under our permit.
Okay, is there any, motion, to, amend the motion, the original motion, or just begin with a new motion to, change the amount that we want to charge to use that property?
I've got two questions. One, when you said he spent close to 9,000 to clean it up, was that just the city side, or was that cleaning up both sides of the fence?
Just the city side.
Okay.
We don't have access to their side. They've got their own lock on the fence.
Okay. Because I would be comfortable with maybe some kind of agreement on not only the price, but maybe a reduction in the price or a benefit for cleaning the place up. Because we talked about having it at one point have to go in there and clean it up, pay for it. So what are you willing to pay a month?
You know, I hadn't really thought about that number. I mean, it's a land lease essentially. And the capital improvements that we make are going to stay if for some reason you guys decide that we're not the vendor anymore one day down.
So we would keep the pole barn.
15 years down the road.
The contract.
Yeah.
Any improvements, that's the hours.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think $1,000 a month would be fair.
I think that's fair. About where I was leaning towards.
Yeah, I think that's a number I had in my mind, actually.
Yeah, and I would like to say while you're standing here in front of the city, I appreciate the effort and the quality of service on picking up yard debris. I'm not going to give you an A, but you're moving in that direction, so it has been noticed.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, they have done a better job for us picking up the debris. You know, I've been watching because I just get tired of phone calls, but appreciate getting a hold of it and putting the foot down. Appreciate that. And as far as the reduction and the lease agreement, the price of the lease, I think it's fair. But I also want us to remind us that when we did this thing for Capital City, whether it was last year or sometime, I think that kind of, in my opinion, we were kind of overcharging, but that's in the past. That's in the past. I just appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate you getting a hold of everything, and let's keep on working together moving forward.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Attorney, what we need to do as far as the previous motion vote to offer it, since it was a common lease with both sides, is that null and void basically because we don't own the other side or the contract, he's not wanting to be on that side, or what do we need?
My understanding is there isn't.
No, but basically what happened was the board did vote to offer him a lease for $2,000.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would amend that previous motion on there from $2,000 a month to $1,000.
Also put a term in there too. You want it to run effectively with the actual garbage contract.
That's good advice. And we need to clarify that it's the 3.2 acres that we own, and any and all improvements made by BCC would be ours if the.
Yeah, that's a standard in the lease. You know, now you take care of the regular boilerplate stuff. I just need the term, the amount of the lease payment. That's the
Okay, all right. Everybody aware of that? Question?
Could you remind me, how long was the lease agreement for?
It would run concurrent with your current agreement you have with BCC. That was a 5-year contract.
We already about a
Last
year into
So I think it's 2024, is that correct, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
So it run concurrent to 2024.
With options to renew.
At a lower rate.
Speaking of lower rates, since he brought up the let's offset some of the costs of the cleanup, could we consider that as well in the motion?
I mean, would you guys be willing to split the cleanup with us? And we just, credit you that amount? Yes, sir. I mean, we both benefit from the place being cleaned up, so I would be, I'd be absolutely willing to split that cost. Right now, you're absolutely willing to pay for it, so let's go.
That was a good try.
Before I forget, the only other thing that I want to make sure that the lease specifies is if at whatever time you leave the site, that the cleanup, if there's any hazardous waste from the oil and transmission fluids and all that, that's on you. Yes, sir. And I think that's standard in a lease agreement as
It
well.
will. We're gonna have to make sure we put in there that it's gonna require the DEP permit, which is approved for whatever type of use it is.
Yeah, I would get the city caught up in that. Yes, sir. But I'm fair. I think that's fair. I would be fine splitting the cost.
Why don't we, do the motion for $1,000 a month to run concurrent with his current, garbage contract? And, for our 3.2 acres, and then, let him, skip the first 4 months lease payment, and that'll be our share of the cleanup. That's 4,000, that's close.
Yeah, they only feel like we won $1,000 on it, right?
You like that?
Yeah, it's like $500. Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
There's a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ashbrook. Now, discussion. Commissioner, anybody? Not, okay, Commissioner Ashbrook, any discussion?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to compliment staff and BCC for being able to work out these issues. As commissioners, we're continuously getting phone calls about, debris issues. It's reduced substantially since we've taken on this contract. And just perfect example, last week with the yard debris. I think the mayor, Jim, and Jason sat down and came up with a great solution. And even after that, I had a problem arise. I called Jason. It was taken care of within 30 minutes. So I appreciate the work and the willingness to work together to make this a successful symbiotic relationship. And that's all I have.
I do have one question. We talked about contract running concurrent with his waste contract. Start date's going to be what? August 1 or September 1, or he's already been out there working, so probably ought to make it August 1.
Make it August 1, I'll have it.
It's all good with August 1.
Yeah.
Start date on that. Okay, everybody. All right, we had one discussion from an audience member.
No, I was just raising my hand.
Oh, okay.
Stretching.
All right. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. 4-0. Pass. Thank you, Jason.
Yes, sir.
We'll keep working together and hope we can help you out.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Okay, any other citizens?
Yes, I got a
You'll
question.
have to come up this time,
I
Mark.
gotta come up this time?
Yeah, you got to sign.
I guess I need to sign in.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the only question I had is when you were discussing earlier about, Sarah Hyde, I think that's her name, removing the inmates off of the
Positive.
positive number.
Mhm.
I was wondering, why is that so? Are they in the county? Are they in the area?
Yeah, but they're already quarantined.
Okay.
So that's the whole, we need, yeah, that's why. They're not going anywhere.
But they are quarantined,
Go ahead.
but shouldn't those numbers still be reported as?
And they are on the
Okay,
state
then.
dashboard. She's just removing it for our application, I guess you would say.
Oh, okay
Yeah,
then.
if you go on the state dashboard, the Florida DOH website,
Yes.
total will be there. She doesn't remove, they're all, every positive is sent to the state. She just removes it just for our knowledge, I guess you would say.
Okay, now I just want to make sure that they are not miscounted.
No,
And
Absolutely.
state overall members. Okay, thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Is anybody else out in the audience? Now, anyone on Zoom like to make comments before I go to the commission? Okay, I'll start with Commissioner Ashbrook.
Mayor, I'm content today. I'm good.
Okay, all right, Mr. Langston.
Yeah, I just like to say, we need to start get prepared for these hurricanes. The ocean is warm. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and we really need to have some kind of guidelines or something where, because if something comes, it's going to be tough getting the shelter put together, with social distancing. It's just something for us to just start thinking about before we get to that point,
And you brought that up. That's very, very well.
But and I like to let all the families know that's been affected by COVID that my family is praying for you. Be strong, hang in there, and hopefully everything will be all right.
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Hoffman?
I don't have anything.
Yeah, point well taken, Mr. Langston. We do need to, Jim, we do need to kind of keep that in our mind about being prepared. John, everyone be thinking of, do we need to make sure the ditches are clean, or what we need to do to be ready so we won't be reactive instead of proactive. So I'm glad you brought that up. Couple of things that just popped in my head while we were sitting here. When we're talking about walking path, years ago when we got kind of swindled into that lights on the walking path, there are quite a few large poles on the walking path that are solar. Most of them are in a place that they don't get any sun anyway. And so I think they're probably very usable, but when there are 2 or 3 on the path between 20th and 20 whatever street, 2nd or 3rd, whatever, the end of that path, where we're going to put lights from Duke. John, I'd like to see if we might can use 1 or 2 or 3. We might use all of them down around the boat ramp. There's plenty of sun down there, and they work. When it gets dark, they turn on. They got batteries and solar panels and everything. So I hate for them to sit there and not be used.
We've actually moved a few in the past, and they worked for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I've seen the one down by the elementary school, Cypress Avenue and whatever. I still don't remember the name of that.
We can sort of take a look at it,
Yeah, that's the one that's mostly in the sun. Just go down at night and see if it works. Anybody's out roaming around after dark, check that out. Also, Mr. Davis, the other Mr. Davis last week about the improving, volunteering to improve Avenue C, I believe it was. Flagpole. If we looked at flagpole, John, is that they wanted to make sure that flagpole at Washington Gym area was usable because they want to put American flag and the state of Florida flag on.
Well, and I guess a little confused. We have a flag currently up there. You go in the parking area on the right.
Yeah.
So, with our staffing levels, we're there. I didn't have the staff to go because of the single flag hoist.
Sure.
So we have to remove the road, add some additional clips, put the Florida flag in there.
I assume that's the flagpole he was talking about.
I have to assume that.
Is there just that one there?
There is, yes, sir, there is a flag there, so it would just be, like Mr. Grant said, adding a Florida flag to it if that's the location.
Okay, so we don't want to forget about his volunteerism, and let's work with him and try to get that done. That's all I have. So we'll stand adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
All right. Now that the meeting is over,